Most people think love is about chasing, proving, and constantly showing someone how much you care. But the truth is, the moment you start chasing too hard, you lose the very power that made you attractive in the first place. Real attraction doesn't grow from pressure. It grows from space, from mystery, from a person who knows their worth and refuses to beg for attention. Here's the reality most people don't want to hear. When you are always available, always explaining yourself, always trying to convince someone to choose you, you slowly train them to take you for granted. Not because they are evil, but because human nature respects what feels valuable and slightly out of reach. Strong people understand something powerful. Sometimes the most attractive move is not stepping closer, but stepping back. Not to play games, not to manipulate, but to protect your standards, your peace, and your self-respect. When someone sees that your life does not revolve around their approval, something shifts in their mind. Curiosity grows, respect grows, desire grows. And suddenly the person who once moved slowly starts wondering if they might lose you forever. That's when commitment stops feeling like pressure and starts feeling like their idea. Most people think the way to keep someone interested is to give more, call more, text more, show up more, prove more. They believe the louder their love becomes, the more secure the relationship will be. But real life doesn't work that way. In fact, the more someone feels they already have all of you, the less urgency they feel to protect you, value you, or commit to you. That's not cruelty. That's human nature. Think about it this way. When something is always available, the mind stops treating it like something special. The same way people ignore the gym membership they already paid for, ignore the books sitting on their shelf, ignore opportunities they believe will always be there tomorrow. Availability creates comfort, but too much availability kills curiosity. This is why stepping back becomes powerful. And let's be clear about something. Stepping back is not about playing childish games. It's not about ignoring someone just to manipulate them. Real strategic distance comes from self-respect. It comes from someone who understands that their time, energy, and attention are valuable assets, not something to hand out endlessly. Imagine a woman who is always the first to text, always the one planning every meeting, always the one adjusting her schedule to fit a man's life. At first, he might enjoy the attention, but slowly something changes. He begins to expect it. He assumes she will always be there. The effort from his side drops, not because he planned it that way, but because the dynamic trained him to relax. Now imagine something different. She begins focusing on her own life again, her career, her goals, her health, her peace. She stops rearranging her world just to keep someone comfortable. When she's busy, she's genuinely busy. When she has plans, she honors them. When she speaks with calm confidence instead of emotional urgency. Suddenly the dynamic shifts up. She's not as predictable anymore. Not in a toxic way, but in a powerful way. Her life clearly does not revolve around him. And that realization triggers something deep in the human curiosity mixed with respect. Why? Because people instinctively value what they might lose. Think about successful people for a moment. The most respected leaders, entrepreneurs, and creators in the world don't chase approval. They are focused. They are disciplined. Their time is structured around their purpose. And because of that, people compete for their attention instead of the other way around. Relationships follow the same principle. When someone sees that your life is full of ambition, full of growth, full of self-respect, they start seeing you differently. You're no longer someone seeking validation. You become someone whose presence feels valuable. Strategic distance also gives you something extremely important: clarity. When you step back, you stop operating from emotional pressure. You start observing instead. You see who reaches out. You see who makes effort. You see who actually values your presence when it is no longer constantly offered. This is where truth reveals itself. Some people will step forward. They will notice your absence and realize how much you mattered. They will begin investing more energy, more consistency, more seriousness into the connection. Others will disappear. And while that might feel painful at first, it's actually a gift because it shows you that the relationship was surviving on your effort alone. Strong people understand this. You should never have to exhaust yourself just to keep someone interested. Healthy attraction grows when both people feel the possibility of loss. Not fear, not insecurity, but awareness. that the person in front of them has options, standards, and a life that continues moving forward. So if you want someone to truly value your presence, sometimes the most powerful move is not chasing them harder. It's reclaiming your energy. Go back to building your life. Focus on your purpose. Improve your finances. Strengthen your discipline. Invest in your health. Expand your mindset. Because when someone sees that your world is moving forward with or without them, they start realizing something important. They are not the center of your life. And strangely enough, that realization is exactly what makes them want to secure a permanent place in it. Let's start with a hard truth that many people avoid. Attention is cheap, but self-respect is rare. Anyone can send messages all day. Anyone can constantly ask for reassurance. Anyone can beg for love. But the moment someone starts begging for attention, they unknowingly lower their own value. Not because they are a bad person, but because desperation changes how people see you. Real attraction has always followed one rule. People respect those who respect themselves first. Look at it in everyday life. Imagine two people in the same situation. One person constantly asks, "Do you still like me? Why didn't you reply?" Are you losing interest? Their energy feels nervous, uncertain, and needy. The other person is calm. They communicate clearly, but they don't chase validation. If something feels off, they address it once, respectfully. After that, they step back and watch actions instead of begging for explanations. Now ask yourself honestly, which person seems more attractive? Which person seems more valuable? The answer is obvious. Self-respect creates a quiet confidence that people can feel. It tells the world you know your worth, and you refuse to trade it for temporary attention. One of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships is trying to earn love by overgiving. They believe if they are more patient, more understanding, more available, eventually the other person will realize their value. But relationships don't work like a reward system where effort automatically earns commitment. In fact, the opposite often happens. The more someone tolerates disrespect, the more normal that disrespect becomes. If someone cancels plans constantly and you accept it every time, they learn that your time isn't that important. If someone disappears for days and you welcome them back without question, they learn that accountability isn't necessary. This is where self-respect changes everything. Self-respect means you communicate your standards calmly and clearly, not with anger, not with drama, but with certainty. It means if someone crosses a boundary repeatedly, you don't argue endlessly trying to convince them to behave better. You simply adjust your presence in their life. Think about a man who runs a successful business. If a client constantly wastes his time, ignores agreements, and disrespects the process, that client doesn't stay long. Not because the businessman is emotional, but because he understands his time has value. Protecting that value is part of his discipline. Your personal life should operate the same way. Your attention is one of the most valuable things you own. Where you place it shapes your energy, your mindset, and your future. When you give unlimited attention to someone who doesn't value it, you drain your own confidence. But when you start protecting your time and emotional energy, something powerful happens. People notice. Let's take a simple real-life example. A woman used to be the one always initiating conversations with someone she liked. She checked in constantly, sent thoughtful messages, tried to keep the connection alive. The man responded sometimes, but never with the same energy. One day she realized something important. She was doing most of the emotional work. Instead of arguing about it, she made a quiet change. She stopped chasing the conversation. She went back to focusing on her work, her fitness, her friends, and her personal growth. At first, there was silence. But then something interesting happened. The man began reaching out more. He started asking questions, making plans, and showing interest that wasn't there before. Why? Because when the constant attention disappeared, he finally felt the difference. Self-respect created space for him to step forward. Now here's the important part. Sometimes the other person doesn't step forward at all, and that's okay. Because self-respect is not about forcing someone to value you. It's about refusing to stay where you are not valued. That mindset changes your entire life. You stop chasing people who are unsure about you. You stop negotiating your standards. You stop shrinking yourself just to keep someone comfortable. Instead, you build a life that reflects your worth. You focus on your discipline, your goals, your growth, and your peace of mind. And when someone enters that kind of life, they feel the difference immediately. They understand they are not dealing with someone who will tolerate anything just to keep them around. They are dealing with someone who values themselves enough to walk away from anything that does not match their standards. And strangely enough, that quiet confidence becomes one of the most attractive qualities a person can have. Because attention might feel good in the moment, but self-respect creates the kind of respect that lasts. Let me tell you something most people learn the hard way. The human mind is wired to chase what it cannot easily have. Not because people enjoy difficulty, but because mystery creates emotional curiosity. The moment something becomes too predictable, too available, too easy to access, the brain stops treating it like something valuable. This is not just about relationships. It's a pattern you can see everywhere in life. Think about a movie trailer that reveals every important scene before the film even comes out. When you watch the movie later, it feels less exciting because the mystery is gone. The curiosity that pulls you in disappears. The same thing happens with people when every part of their attention time and emotional energy is always on display. When someone knows they can reach you anytime, get your attention anytime, and receive your effort anytime, the sense of discovery fades. Your presence becomes familiar, predictable, and eventually taken for granted. But when you stop overexposing your energy, something interesting happens. Curiosity returns. Imagine a man who is used to a woman constantly checking in on him. Every morning there's a message. Every evening there's a call. Every weekend she clears her schedule for him. At first he enjoys the attention, but slowly it becomes normal. It feels like something guaranteed. Now imagine that dynamic changes. She starts focusing on her life again. She's not ignoring him out of bitterness. She's simply investing more time in her goals, her work, her health, and the people who also invest in her. She still communicates when appropriate, but the constant stream of attention disappears. Suddenly, the pattern breaks. The human brain notices broken patterns immediately. When something familiar changes, curiosity wakes up. Questions begin forming. Why hasn't she texted today? What is she busy with? Who is she spending time with? And those questions start pulling attention back toward her. This is the power of scarcity. Scarcity doesn't mean playing games or manipulating someone's emotions. It simply means your time and presence are not unlimited. Just like a successful entrepreneur does not give away every hour of their day for free, a person with strong self-worth does not give endless attention without balance. Scarcity signals value. Think about luxury brands for a moment. Companies that sell high-end products rarely flood the market with unlimited supply. They release limited pieces, limited collections, and limited access. The reason is simple. When something feels rare, people treat it as valuable. Your attention works the same way. When your time is structured around purpose, discipline, and personal growth, your presence naturally becomes more selective. You are not available for everything, and that selectiveness increases your perceived value. Now, here's where many people get confused. They think creating scarcity means acting cold or distant all the time. That's not the goal. Healthy scarcity is about balance. When you spend time with someone, you are fully present, you are genuine, you are warm, but you also maintain your own life outside the relationship. You have ambitions, you have routines, you have priorities that continue moving forward, and that independence creates a subtle psychological effect. The other person understands that your life is not standing still waiting for them. Your world continues expanding. This naturally increases curiosity. Real life example. Imagine two people dating. The first person rearranges their entire schedule whenever the other person calls. If plans change, they drop everything. If the other person cancels, they immediately wait for the next opportunity. Over time, the relationship begins to feel one-sided because one person is always adjusting. Now imagine the second person. They enjoy spending time together, but they also protect their schedule. If they have a gym session, they go. If they have work to finish, they finish it. If they made plans with friends, they honor those plans. They don't apologize for having a life. Instead of appearing distant, they appear grounded. Their time feels structured and purposeful. Because of that, spending time with them starts to feel like something special rather than something guaranteed. That difference changes the emotional dynamic. Curiosity grows when people feel that they are gradually discovering you, not consuming your entire presence at once. Practical advice here is simple but powerful. First, build a life that excites you outside of any relationship. Focus on your personal growth, your financial goals, your health, your education, and your discipline. When your life is full, scarcity happens naturally because your time is invested in meaningful things. Second, stop over-explaining your absence. If you are busy working on yourself, that is enough. You do not need to justify every moment of your day. Third, observe effort. When you reduce constant availability, watch how the other person responds. Do they step forward and show interest? Do they initiate conversations? Do they make an effort to see you? This observation reveals the truth about someone's intentions, because the goal is not to force someone to chase you endlessly. The goal is to create a balanced dynamic where both people invest energy. Curiosity should exist on both sides. When someone feels that they are gradually earning access to your time, they begin to appreciate it more. They start valuing moments with you instead of assuming those moments will always be there. And that shift is powerful because when someone starts valuing your presence instead of expecting it, attraction deepens, respect deepens, commitment becomes more likely, all because you understood one simple truth. When your life has purpose and your time has limits, people don't just notice your presence, they start craving it. Most people make a critical mistake in relationships. They make the relationship their entire focus. Their mood depends on it, their schedule revolves around it, and their sense of worth slowly becomes tied to whether the other person chooses them or not. When that happens, something dangerous begins to grow: dependency. And dependency quietly kills attraction. Let me explain something powerful. When a person feels like they are the center of your entire world, they stop feeling the urgency to secure their place in it. Why would they? In their mind, you're already there, fully committed, fully invested, fully waiting. But when someone sees that your life has purpose, direction, and momentum, everything changes. A purpose-driven life shifts the entire dynamic of a relationship. Think about the people who command the most respect in the world. Entrepreneurs building companies, athletes training daily, leaders focused on impact, creators dedicated to mastering their craft. These people are not chasing validation from others every day. Their attention is locked onto growth, discipline, and building something meaningful. And because of that focus, people naturally gravitate toward them. Not because they are trying to impress anyone, but because purpose creates presence. Now apply that same principle to relationships. Imagine a woman who spends most of her time worrying about whether a man will commit. She analyzes every message, every delay, every small change in behavior. Her mind becomes a constant cycle of overthinking. When she talks to him, her energy carries that pressure. Now imagine another woman in a completely different mindset. She enjoys the relationship, but it is not the center of her identity. She has professional goals she is chasing. She invests time in learning, improving her health, strengthening her finances, and expanding her skills. Her life is moving forward whether the relationship grows or not. That energy feels completely different. The first situation feels heavy. The second feels inspiring. When someone enters the life of a purpose-driven person, they feel like they are stepping into a moving train, not dragging a parked car. And human beings naturally want to be part of something that is moving forward. Purpose creates attraction because it signals strength. Let's look at a real-life example. There was a man who was dating someone for years, but he kept delaying commitment. Every time the conversation about marriage came up, he avoided it. The woman spent years trying to convince him, trying to prove she was the right choice, trying to push the relationship forward. Nothing changed. Eventually, she made a decision that had nothing to do with him. She stopped focusing on the relationship and started focusing on her own life. She went back to school to finish a degree she had put on hold. She started working toward a better career opportunity. She invested in her health and her confidence. Her entire energy changed. She wasn't chasing marriage anymore. She was chasing growth. Months later, something surprising happened. The same man who avoided commitment started bringing up the future himself. He started talking about stability, family, and long-term plans. Why? Because he suddenly realized something that had never crossed his mind before. She might actually move forward without him. Purpose introduced the possibility of loss, and loss activates urgency. But here's the deeper lesson. The point of a purpose-driven life is not to manipulate someone into commitment. That mindset will always lead to disappointment. The real power is that purpose protects your dignity and your future. When you are focused on growth, you are never stuck waiting for someone else to decide your worth. You are building a life that moves forward regardless. That kind of mindset creates a completely different emotional presence. You speak differently. You carry yourself differently. Your time becomes structured and intentional. Instead of saying, I hope this person chooses me, your mindset becomes, I am building a life worth joining. And that subtle shift is powerful. People are naturally drawn toward those who are going somewhere in life. Think about it in terms of money and success. Investors don't put their money into businesses that are stagnant. They invest in businesses that are growing, expanding, and creating momentum. Relationships follow the same principle. When someone sees that your life has direction, they begin to imagine themselves inside that future. They want to secure their place before someone else does. Practical advice here is very simple, but extremely powerful. First, define your personal mission. What are you building in your life? It could be a career, a business, a creative passion, financial independence, or personal mastery. Whatever it is, pursue it with discipline. Second, create daily structure around growth. Exercise consistently. Improve your knowledge. Build skills that increase your value in the world. Purpose is not just an idea. It's built through daily habits. Third, stop pausing your life for relationships that are uncertain. If someone truly values you, they will walk beside your growth, not slow it down. And finally, remember this truth. The goal is not to make someone chase you. The goal is to become someone whose life naturally attracts people who want to commit. Because when a person sees that your life has direction, standards, and momentum, something powerful happens in their mind. They stop seeing commitment as pressure. They start seeing it as an opportunity to secure a place in a life that is already rising. And the moment someone realizes they might lose access to that rising life, commitment suddenly stops feeling like a burden. It starts feeling like the smartest decision they could ever make.